Hello and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Larry.
I'm confused. Charlie.
I'm Ari.
And I'm Josh. And Charlie, why are you confused?
Before filming, I was asked to draw what I thought the cover of the work would be on this piece of paper that I'm holding in my right hand. Very specific.
Because you didn't bring the book.
Oh,
I brought the book.
I don't have a copy. So, would you like me to show them?
You could show. Yeah, let's all hold up our covers.
Oh, that's upside down.
Wait,
hold on. I'm not to spill the tea here.
And we're also replicating the season 3 thumbnail, where Ari and I had our and these are the same exact books that we had from season 3, where we went over The Stranger by Albert Camus, which we're going to be going over today. Charlie had a blank piece of paper. So finally he has something on it. Also,
very demure, very mindful.
would you guys...
Sorry. It's the cough medicine.
Also, do you guys want a pumpkin? Either yes or yes.
Yes.
Yes!
Okay.
What's a pumpkin? Well, I'm gonna find out.
Yeah.
So they're stuffed animals.
Yeah, just take...
Should I?
Yeah, it's for the episode.
Ooh, this one looks like a turtle.
Thank you.
These are pumpkins.
I want them all. Just kidding.
You can have them all minus one, because I have to have one.
Ooh, that has horns, just like me. You might as well just start without me.
I want that one.
Okay, these are pumpkins. These were competitors to Beanie Babies back in the late 90s. And this is Lily the Frog. And it just so happens that Lily's birthday is the same day as mine. So I wanted to make sure that I had Lily in my collection. Her birthday is February 28th. And they have poems.
This one's called Drake.
Drake the Dragon?
I guess so.
Yep. Flashlight.
Although his birthday is a couple days before mine.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's pretty coincidental that you picked one.
His is August 21st.
Okay.
I have Dinky. Birthday is September 9th, 97. I'm a September child.
Huh.
And I like the name Dinky because...
You are pretty dinky.
That's what she said. But...
I can't read.
Is it still part of the episode?
What's mine?
Okay, yours is Flurry. Birthday is December 1st of 97.
There you go.
1997.
Flurry.
They have poems as well, but it would take a while to go over them.
So what do these have to do with Albert Camus?
Dinky loves to dance, move, and go... Oh, sorry.
Because Albert Camus was a master in absurdism. People often say existentialism. However, he didn't see himself as an existentialist. But we have there are a lot of people that question Marceau and his motives, and people have the tendency to make judgments about the world around them. And there's probably a lot that we know about Marceau, or there's probably a lot about Marceau that nobody knows. And there's reason as to why we as a reader and those around him do not know. So, I think by playing with pumpkins, I think the whole idea of don't question people's motives and what they're inspired to do, as long as they're not getting within your business or your safety, let people do what they want.
Can I have 5 minutes off camera?
A little bit of a reach, Josh. I'm really disappointed in you.
I didn't say that.
Something about out of reach.
He's very disappointed in you. That's the part
Yes,
I
I heard something about being out of reach. But
This isn't booze, it's Snapple.
Anyway.
alrighty then. You have the discussion starter, Larry?
Yes, I do. And it's kind of related. Because I think the pivotal question to this work
that surrounds it that makes any kind of point or philosophical argument that could be made from this work pivots all on one question that I have discerned, and it is this: do you believe that Albert Camus intended Marceau to be a sympathetic character?
Okay, first, I was very interested in the way that you were going to approach this, because I think a lot about our discussion about the Flannery O'Connor story we went over, the Enduring Chill from season 15, because it's very similar in the way that the subject in the piece, Asbury, foresees the world around him and his motives. The major difference, though, is that you and Flannery O'Connor have very similar thinking.
Yes.
In this case, you and Albert Camus do not. I think that Camus wants, as the writer, he wants Marceau to, I think he sees a bit of, I think there's a bit of a reflection of Camus in Marceau. And I think that he's incorporating his thinking. He's using Marceau to make us think, as far as the naturalist way of thought is concerned, and the way that we really cannot, we really don't get a sense as to the what's below the iceberg as far as Marceau's thinking is concerned, because everybody questions, does he love his mother? Was he upset when his mother passed?
There was a passage in here about where Marie asked him the same question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you love me? He's like, do you want to get married? Oh, okay, I'll get married if you want to get married.
Because he just exists.
Yep.
And that's the way he sees things. And I think that, not necessarily feel sympathy, but I think he wants us to feel
for him.
I think he wants
not
us
for him. As
he wants
in
us to see
himself.
Marceau as a voice of reason.
Not for him as in feeling for him because he went to prison or something. For him as in because he doesn't want to himself.
Mm-hmm.
He was a tough egg to crack. That's all I can say on him. He's very indifferent. He just, to me, he seemed like life didn't matter. I'm just going through the motions. I'm going through the motions.
It's a little bit more. I don't think it's that life doesn't matter. It's that what he does will not have an effect.
Well,
on
that
anything
yes,
else.
that's right. Yes.
Because I kind of wrote this paragraph earlier.
Oh, nice.
At the beginning of the book, Marcel's mom passed away, and Marcel started feeling like time would just pass and the universe would go by and not give two shits about him. So he realized, hey, it doesn't matter what I do, it won't make a difference. So he just goes and does what he wants to do, knowing it will have no effect on the world or universe. He helps Raymond and kills the Arab. Ironically, the people who put him in prison seem to care a lot, but Marceau just believes that he could do his own stuff and it wouldn't affect anything, so he goes to the guillotine with pretty much no remorse.
I think as far as, he really didn't, when it came to killing the Arab, I think that was just, I scratched my head at that because the Arab didn't prove, at the time he didn't prove to be a direct threat. Because he was lying there, he looked a bit like, he looked smug, he looked like he had the knife pulled out, but he was still lying on the ground. And then,
That's not a direct threat.
No, he shot him once, and then shot him 4 more times after a pause, just to assert himself.
I've always said there are 2 possible reasons I can think of why I did that. First was revenge, but that doesn't sound very much like Marceau as a character.
Right.
And the other is, I mean, it had racial tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
It could be either one of those, I think. But I mean, considering that he calls him an Arab anyway, is a pretty. I mean, there's other words you can use. I mean, then again, this was written in what,
1946.
1946. Oh, he was born in 13.
Yeah, I don't think that you can read anything into that. I think it's just that he was Arab and was different.
Yeah.
In that way, in the way that he was Arabic and
Or I mean, he just
everybody else is French.
felt like he could do whatever he wanted and it wouldn't matter. So why why not just use the whole gun, like just bam, 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 bam.
See, I don't think he thought about it at all. I think he's totally adrift. I think that he is.
Well, when you pull the trigger to a gun, it's you know what you're doing.
Well, yeah,
I'm
but I
just
don't
saying.
think that he thought about it. I don't think that it was contemplated. He was just like, well, I don't want to talk to the women. He had the gun by circumstance,
Right.
by the fact that he knew enough to take it away from
Raymond.
his friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then just kind of started walking, and then found himself in a situation
Yeah.
where he wanted to kill the man.
He even says, let me go back to the page because I actually did this particular paragraph for a project I did in college. He said, it occurred to me that all I had to do was turn around and that would be the end of it.
That's what I was gonna say.
So he said it did pass him that he didn't have to do anything, but just the environment with it being really hot and just he just wanted to get rid of everything that was going on, and so that's how he does it. It's just
Yeah, there's not a lot
it's
of
a
thought.
bunch of circumstance of all
Yeah.
around it.
Yeah, because he's kind of adrift. Like he has no governing philosophy.
No.
His governing philosophy is that nothing that I do matters.
Yeah.
So
That-
therefore,
That's what
he doesn't. Reason is not something that he's really interested in.
That's
And
Sorry.
motivation also is not
Yeah.
something that that doesn't come from a very deep place.
No.
But yet it has devastating consequences. The actions that we take and that we don't take. I mean, we're talking about the end of a man's life for nothing.
And I was saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
No,
but I
that's
was going to say that's why I kind of said, I said earlier he seemed to be just going through the motions, and he is, seems indifferent. He's like, well,
It's like a robot.
damned if I do, damned if I don't.
Yeah.
And if I may say, he had a job, he had a girlfriend. He went to this Italian restaurant, Celeste, was it called?
Yeah.
Celeste. He would go there, so he had something going for him, but
Yeah, he had a friend in Raymond.
yeah,
He
he had a place.
Salamano was his kooky neighbor.
Yeah.
He
He had wine, a lot of wine. In prison, that all stops. No more wine. No more. It's done.
I just want to read this on page 41. It says, that evening Marie came by to see me and asked me if I wanted to marry her. I said it didn't make any difference to me and that we could if she wanted to. Then she wanted to know if I loved her. I answered the same way I had the last time. It didn't mean anything, but that I probably didn't love her. So why marry me then? I explained to her that it didn't really matter, and if she wanted to, we could get married. Like he has no, like Larry said, no governing force there.
he seems like,
He's like,
but the way that
he's just existing.
his disposition toward to her though is in ways that fulfill his desires. Like he admires her appearance and
Yeah.
he has a good time when they're together.
They go for a swim.
Yes.
Yeah, very shallow. Very, very shallow, surface level. And I think that he uses this philosophy of his, this kind of nihilistic philosophy of his, to keep people at a distance. And because nothing he's going to do matters. So, why form relationships with people? They can only hurt you.
That's true.
He had a small circle.
I definitely want to get
But not
to.
he didn't have a circle at all.
That's what I'm
He
saying.
keeps her away. He keeps
Yeah.
he put his mother as far away as he could.
Mhm.
He keeps his girlfriend at a distance, and the friends that he makes are sociopathic and not good people, not virtuous people. He he helps he helps what's his name, the letter. He writes the letter for
Maybe.
what's his name,
Was it Raymond?
I
Or,
think it was
Raymond.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he writes the letter
Yes, it was for Raymond. 'Cause-
for him to help him get the girl back so that he could beat the, and he knows that that's why he's doing it, but he doesn't care. So I would answer my own question and say no, I don't think that Camus does intend for this to be a sympathetic character. I think that he is writing a critique of nihilism as a philosophy, of existentialism as a philosophy. I think that's why he rejects existentialism, because he does not agree that life is meaningless, that he does agree that there is meaning to life.
That one, I would say I have to disagree with that. Because I think that the way he's approaching this, I think he's making it neutral because he wants us as the reader to be able to. It's basically putting us in front of a mirror, or putting anybody in a mirror, putting society in a mirror, in order to, because we are a very judging society. It is very anti-religious, especially.
He is. The character is.
Anti-Christianity.
Marceau is anti-Christian. But I don't know if the work is.
Given that Camus was an atheist,
I don't know if he was. I
he
don't
was
know
an
anything
atheist.
about him.
He was an
Pretty
author.
much lived and then died an atheist. He grew up Protestant. He had dipped into different religions, but ultimately, he was atheist.
I don't know. I can only judge the work on its own terms.
Right.
And what I get from this work is that it is not very critical of Christianity, that it is affirming, in the sense that this person who rejects God ends up holding all of humanity in contempt. He wants to go to the guillotine, and he wants to be hated as he goes. He goes from wanting to be accepted by, frankly, degenerates and sociopaths, to wanting to be hated.
I just think he doesn't care. I just
Well,
don't think
no.
he cares
If
one
you
way or
read the
other.
end,
Yeah.
if you read the ending of the story, right after he's done with the
You mean
priest,
when
he
he talks
says
to
he
the
wants to
chaplain?
go
Yeah.
after the chapel.
Yeah.
He says that he is eager to go to the guillotine and to see the
I'd
contempt.
only to wish that there be a large crowd of spectators the day of my execution, and that they greet me with cries of hate. Yeah, but still, like I don't really think he cares about. Oh, I think we'll define the word care, but it just
Well, he's
seems
pretty
like-
passionate. He's pretty passionate in his rejection of Christ at the last moment.
That's
he's,
true.
He's yelling. He's in a fit because ultimately there is meaning. Ultimately, there is
The
meaning.
chaplain saw something in it.
If there was no meaning, and if he really believed there was no meaning, then he would be dispassionate. He would be.
He
would not
basically
care.
he
But
took
he
down
does.
the chaplain though, because the chaplain conceded. The way that he went off crying
Yeah, there were like
with tears in his eyes.
3 or
No, he
4
didn't
times
concede.
that they kept asking if he wanted
Didn't
to see
concede
the
to his own
chaplain.
beliefs, but conceded to helping out Marceau.
That he can't help.
He came to the conclusion that he could not help. But upon his departure, Marceau was still affirmative of his own
Yeah.
decision making.
I
It
think
wasn't like
But his actions betray his philosophy. If he did not care, there's nothing to get riled up about. If nothing matters, then there's nothing to get riled up about. What are you getting so emotional for if it doesn't matter?
I think the
Why do you desire to see the hatred of people if nothing
Oh.
matters?
It must matter a lot. They must have completely opposite viewpoints.
yes, they do, because the chaplain is affirmative in his Christianity, whereas Marceau has completely rejected it. Your hand's getting cold?
I just caught it.
Well, like
It's a
sidestepping
yours
from
is a snowman.
Oh, yeah.
sidestepping from the kind of religious aspect of it. I want to look more at like the reasoning behind the end of the first part. Like, what is going through your mind that you say the weather? You could say is just circumstance. Like, there's no true motive for why he kills that Arab. There doesn't seem to be like a very specific. I mean, you could, like I said, I gave 2 examples earlier, but like in the gist of things, there doesn't seem to be a motive that Camus wrote about.
And I think that's the way he sees life in general.
Yeah.
That it's just it's very naturalistic. That it is what it is because I mean the fact that they got into the not so much getting it. Part of it could have been getting into the scuffle with Raymond, but the other part is he didn't have to. If it was in defense is one thing, but the fact that he just asserted himself, or it was a perfect example of being able to assert oneself upon someone, because it wasn't like his.
Yeah, and shooting him 4 times when he's practically already dead.
And speaking from a legal standpoint, I'm not going to be long on this at all, I promise, but there doesn't necessarily have to be a motive for something like that. You just walk up to somebody and put 4 bullets in him.
5.
There's 5. I can count. You know, it doesn't like. What's your motive? Well, sometimes there is no motive. It's just what was
Wrong
going.
place, wrong time.
What was going on up here? What was your mindset? That's
Yeah.
different. That's a different thing, and that's used in the legal system.
You don't need a motive to prove it.
You need to have intent.
Well,
And you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Shoot, especially if you can't scream self-defense because, again, as we said earlier, the Arab was just laying there. Even if his sword or weapon was out, maybe he didn't have a scabbard for it. And I don't know, but he would. If he now maybe were standing and it was raised and you were in close proximity, yeah, have a fighting chance there. But again, he's the book said it, and you brought it up too. He could have just walked away.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't. He
didn't have to go to the beach in the first place.
Yeah.
All this stuff was just a matter of circumstance that just led
Exactly.
to these events. It's almost as if there was it's like he probably believes there's like a predetermined order that things were supposed to happen in, and he's just doing them one at a time.
Yeah.
And you never know what the next one's going to be, but when it is, it's a, you know.
Already.
Yeah, that's not true though.
I wanted
Well, that's
to.
what he thinks.
Right.
wanted to
and
touch
that's what
upon-
leads to the Arab being killed.
Right.
I wanted to touch upon his relationship with his mother. I remember when I discussed this with Brianna, somebody that I used to go to college with, and she affirmatively said that he hated his mother. How would you describe his relationship with his mother? Would it be? Do you think he downright hated her, or do you think it's much more complicated than that?
I think it's more complicated than that.
I second that motion, and
I mean, if he hated her, why go to the funeral?
That and the fact, I think that there's the idea. It's that idea of you don't have to like him, but you have to love him. Where, I think that Marcel felt that he had his mother's best interest in mind in how the reason he sent her to the nursing home was because it would be better for her, and it would be better for both of them. And I think while you could say that he did it for his own personal selfish reasons, you could also argue that she did have a better quality of life there than she would have had with him.
You could argue that.
I think it sounds like Marcel has these things that he feels obligated to do despite the whole situation. Like, oh, I have to do this because I just have to. Like, there's no rhyme or reason behind any of his decisions. It just seems like, oh, well, let's do this. Let's do this. He makes his own decisions, and whether they're right or wrong is irrelevant to him.
Yeah, it's like he's expected to go to the funeral. So
yeah, as a formality, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Marcel, if he was like, well, not Marcel, how do you pronounce his name? That's how you pronounce his name, right?
Yeah.
Marcel, yeah. If Marcel, like, was one of those people who believed that the world was like a predetermined simulation. If it was like an older, if it was like not 1946, if it was more like 2000, 2010, I feel like he'd be one of those people where it's like, well, every decision we made's already been made for us. We just go through the motions. Like, I feel like he'd be that kind of person.
I also want to bring up one other thing too that I just thought of as well. At his trial, the prosecutor, even back then prosecutors, or I'm not going to say that on camera, if they don't like you, they'll find a way to make your life difficult. But, and I'm speaking generally, but he used it against him that there was no emotion against that. He just went and left right afterward.
It's interesting that you bring it up because
Yeah.
I don't find it fair that they pretty much brought him down because he wouldn't cry.
Yeah.
There's people that express their emotions in so many different ways. And, like, there was a segment on Sesame Street with Roosevelt Franklin and this one guy. Roosevelt Franklin told the young kid that nobody's going to know how you feel unless you cry. or nobody's going to know you're sad or upset unless you cry. That's absolutely wrong. There's people.
That's a good way, but it's not the only
It's not
way.
the
It's
only
not.
way.
It's not a good way or a bad way. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to cry, but it's not. You don't have to. That's not. You don't have to necessarily express your sadness or your sorrow.
People take it rage,
crying.
you know,
No, you don't.
anger.
That's true. But at the same time, with Marcel, he
That
doesn't. He doesn't seem to experience anymore.
I know for people like me and Josh and Charles, it can be more difficult because of our situations with our neurodiversity. It can be very difficult.
My what? Just kidding.
To be able to express things, but also to read what others are expressing. So you would think that someone may mistakenly think that we would need those tears in order to recognize what is going on, when in fact that's not necessarily the case. Everyone's different from each other.
That's true.
But the other thing was Marcel was surrounded by a lot of people that were very emotional. Like Perez was bawling his eyes out at
Give me a break, yeah.
That's probably
But yeah.
his mom's
That I get.
funeral.
Yeah.
Salamano was very passionate, very passionate person in the way that he was. He wore his. He was very over the top.
Marie was very emotional too, because she's like, oh, I want to do all these things. I want to marry you. I want to spend time with you, and it's just it's reciprocated, but in a very dull way.
Yeah. And
Like I said, going through the motions.
yeah. And you know what? I was when we had a good break. I was what you said in Sesame Street. That was an era where men didn't cry. Sesame Street was a pioneer in expressing your emotions. Mr. Rogers was too. But I also, it's people express their emotions differently. And I'll say this: when my father passed, I was banging my fist on the church pew. I was, in plain English, I was BISSED. But I was also crying and saying words I won't say right now. But you know,
I think. Sorry.
no, it's okay. And people knew I was sad and angry, but angry that he passed and other circumstances behind that. But you know,
Grief in particular can be shown in many different
That's
ways.
right.
But I
That's
think
right.
what this
Yes.
is trying to tell us is it's not just grief that can be shown in different ways. There's all kinds of emotions that can be shown in all kinds of different ways. I know, just me. When my grandmother passed away when I was 11, I was bawling on the floor. I was so sad. When my grandfather passed away, who I was actually much closer with, when I was in my early mid-20s, like, I felt like I didn't cry necessarily, and I felt like I couldn't figure out the words that I wanted to say. I was like lost. It was a completely different feeling than when my grandmother passed away. Like, just as you go through experiences, emotions change, and as you go through life, emotion change, and emotion can be presented completely differently between different people at different times in life. It's never going to be exactly the same. And I think with Marcel, he just presents it as what looks like nothing, unless it's something that's really important to him, like against the Christianity stuff. Like he obviously presented that at the end, but like, most of the time it's just.
Yeah, well, he wants to present himself as that way. It seems like.
And that's not really like an emotional thing. That's like a presentation thing. Like I want people to
be
know
perceived this
that
way.
This is the way. Like there is no God. There is nothing like that. It's just emotions. It's kind of like sharing your perspective in a very.
Well, yeah, he's trying to live out his beliefs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's betrayed by his emotions in the end, I feel. And also, I feel that,
Depends on how you look at it. I think he felt content at the end.
content.
I think that he felt satisfied with his decision, and that he was going to go to the guillotine.
I don't know if "satisfied" is the right word. I more feel like it was a decision, and he just accepted it.
Yes,
not like
maybe that way.
I think more like just it is what it is. Let's go to the guillotine.
But at the same time, we only know what he's conveying. There's probably something that's within his inner self that he's not sharing.
Two things. I just realized Dinky doesn't have arms, so I'm sorry.
Puffkins don't have arms.
Oh. And the second thing I was going to say, too, he also, when he was in prison, he said...
You were in prison, young man?
No, not Dinky.
Bad Dinky! Bad!
My Dinky!
Put him right back
Wrong
in.
context. But no.
We don't believe in parole around here.
Puffkin's parole.
I'll be the warden. Anyway, that, I was going to say, too,
When
they
Marcel was
they
in
don't have
prison.
arms. I know that. He was making the, I guess you could say, assumptions or thoughts like, I'm going to die anyway. I'm going to die in 20 years, 10 years, a day. You know, and in a way, it's like, why put it off?
This is something that I was gonna eventually bring up with what Charles was bringing up.
You know,
it just
he
seems
figured,
like,
let me just, I guess, in a way, like, let's get it over with.
yep. Either I'm
Right, Dinky?
I'm either gonna walk out that door at 10 o'clock or I'll walk out that door at 11 o'clock. But either way, if I don't walk out that door, something bad's gonna happen. I'm gonna be, but
We're eventually going to meet the almighty drum set, as I like to say.
yeah.
I'm a drummer, for those who don't know.
Pretty sure that we know, and that
we
most
all
peop-
reached
and
the eventual end.
I think anybody that's been here,
Our regular viewers, I
Yes.
think, are all aware of your
I guess we have
affinity.
any new ones.
Mm.
Right, Dinky?
That's right. For the new viewers, Charlie loves drums.
where's Flurry the Snowman?
He's over here. He's chilling.
Yeah, because he's a
Chilling,
snowman.
get it? Chilling.
I got it from the beginning, but I
I
think it was interesting to the commentary on the way that the court system works and how he was
Don't get me
interacting with
started.
the lawyers and the judges, where they pretty much gave him that they told him that they're going to go after him for these little frivolous things, and I think that
Well, they're going after him for murder.
that's what the concentration should be murder,
Yeah.
but they were going after him for things like
not
Character,
showing
character-
emotion.
not
it's
showing
called
emotion.
character
Yeah,
evidence.
not
character
being,
witnesses,
not
yes.
liking his mother,
Right.
according to them,
What they according to them, yeah.
and trying to make it that they were trying to use
They're
that.
trying to place
Yeah.
something on him that doesn't necessarily that fits what they think it looks like from the outside.
Remember what I said about the
and to make
prosecutor?
it even look worse.
Yeah.
I mean, murder's just murder enough, and the fact that he did it on purpose without remorse.
I think the thing with the court systems back then and now, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, is that they always try to find the smallest things to make someone not make someone squirm, but like to use against them, even though they're more subjective things.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what I'm meaning to say?
The courts,
Well, you got
have,
to use everything you have, man. Like,
the
that's-
courts have always been blind.
But it's not
Most.
always the right thing
Right.
to do. You have to look at, like, just because someone doesn't think or present a certain way doesn't mean they are that.
I mean, the way that there are biases that go into like the selection of a jury,
Yes.
where but then again, it's the prosecution and the defense each determine who they want to remove from the pool of people until they finally get 12 people.
I feel,
Or 23 if it's really...
and I'm going to make an outstanding statement here. I'm going to say that I feel that Marceau did, in fact, I mean, his idea of love is different than other people, because everyone's idea is different. But I think he really did, in his own way, care about his mom, care about his friends, care about his stuff, but he did it in his own personal, private way without expressing it to anyone, or it's like he has a shield up, and he doesn't want anyone peering behind the shield to get to him, because that shield is just, it's just there.
I agree with that.
And so it looks like from the outside, just, let's say the shield is gray, it's just a gray sheet.
I would say that I kind of agree with that, and hopefully it was expressed within the exterior of what we didn't see, but I think that from what we did see, you saw him perk up the most in instances that fulfilled his own personal desires.
Yeah.
Like-
going
Because
swimming
that would be
with
on the
Leah.
inside of
Yeah,
this so-called shield.
Like when we saw him the happiest when it was satisfying his own
Right.
himself rather
I'm
than
now
other
old.
people.
I'm no,
Physical desire.
yeah, I'm now old enough to read when they went home with the. I'm like, okay, they're not just gonna go home and play chess and eat cheese and crackers. They're gonna do something else. But, and again with the courts,
Already then.
yeah, don't even get me started on.
Well, with the courts, it's
Don't even get me started.
you know that they were trying to bring in character witnesses against him. And with what you were saying, Ari, about the shield, I think that the shield that he's putting up is his philosophy that nothing matters, and he's using that to keep everybody, including his own mother, away, so that he is not hurt by.
He's very much an internal
Feelings.
processor.
Yeah, he wants everything on the outside.
The court scene kind of. I was thinking about the Seinfeld finale with the court because of the fact that they brought people from prior that were part of their lives
Yes.
to come and make judgments on their character.
I mean that's
only-
that's what the court is there to do, is to make judgments on
Yeah.
the character.
Only on Seinfeld, these people basically said that the Jerry, George, Kramer, and Elaine, their character was so bad, and that they're a nuisance to society that it's best that you just lock them up. The people that were speaking, that were testifying, that they brought in to testify, they really didn't have much of a. They didn't have much of a.
They could only testify about what they knew, and they
Yes.
didn't know him at all.
No, they really
this
didn't.
whole-
They didn't contribute as much.
The whole book is just a philosophical, psychological analysis.
Yes,
That's basically what it is.
I would
It's
say
a
critique. It's a critique.
Yeah,
I would say.
you could get philosophers talking about this book for a while. You can get psychoanalysts talking about this book for a while.
It's something you could
Specialist.
really think about, and I think a lot about it myself.
Yeah, I would like to read his essay. What is it? Something. What
With the
is it?
Sisyphus?
Yeah, Sisyphus. What?
Sisyphus.
Sisyphus.
He's written a lot of essays. He's written a lot of essays. He's only written so many books. I want to say it was 4 novels and then one that was unfinished. He wrote some nonfiction books and essays. He wrote plays.
And he won the Nobel Prize in 1957 for literature.
Yes. And then
Well deserved, but interesting.
I agree. I mean, the fact that we all can get a lot out of this work, despite the fact that we all have very different beliefs about the world ourselves,
yes.
tells me that this work maps really well onto reality, so
Yeah.
that we can.
This isn't necessarily good or bad behavior. It's just what he is, and everyone is what they are, and you just gotta say, hey, everyone is their own individual person. Everyone's gonna feel differently. Everyone's gonna look at the world differently.
I would
Everyone has different
disagree with
experiences.
That, I mean, it is bad behavior to kill somebody.
Well, no, I'm not talking about. I wasn't talking about that. It was more like the philosophy. Yeah. It's not good to.
Going to a comedy. is
Yeah,
not a
but the
bad thing.
philosophy, that's where it leads.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Do we have any final thoughts?
I'm hungry.
Charlie's hungry. We are going to be having pizza soon, if you guys are interested. So,
It'd be hard to feed.
final thoughts.
Get pizza to.
Sorry.
No, that's
you
fine.
and somebody all on the opposite side of the world.
No, I like this work a lot. I think, like I said, I want to read more. I read The Plague once. I liked it. I want to read it again. I'm a fan of this author. And, yeah, I'm not going to...
The stranger.
I'd
the
like-
fact that you cannot tell that he is an atheist from this work, to me, says a lot. And the fact that Sartre would claim it, and he was an existentialist, and the fact that he could claim it as a affirmation of his philosophy, and that a Christian could claim it and do the same, tells me that this work is a lot like life, where we can all look at the existence of that we are in the realm of reality in which we exist, and draw different conclusions from it.
That's
So,
what a good book is supposed to do.
yeah, it reflects reality very well.
Already then.
Don't be afraid to try again. Everyone goes south every now and then. Ooh, you've done it. Why can't someone else? You should know by now.
supposed to mean? Oh.
The stranger. I thought you
Oh,
knew
yeah.
your Billy Joel!
Who is this stranger?
I thought he knew his Billy Joel. He just said he doesn't know his Billy Joel.
I do know that's just a song that I'm not as familiar with.
Oh, come on! Guys, you heard it here. The Greed was a wreck.
I didn't recognize it either, to be honest with you. I think it's because of the voice.
Yeah,
You just thought it was funny because of the voice.
No, I thought it was funny because of your reaction.
you didn't know what it was from. Oh my God!
Already.
Hold on. I want to say one more thing, because wasn't that the question you asked originally in the original episode? Is who is the stranger? Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, but it's a good question. That's the other one that I was thinking about using. Who is the stranger? To me, it's Marcel, right? He's a stranger.
Yes, that's who I thought the
That's
stranger
what
was
I think
myself.
as well.
Yeah. In that, he keeps everybody
Yeah.
at arm's length.
And is it that can you really understand a stranger as a reader? Because we're getting his perspective. However, it's not necessary.
He doesn't want to be known.
Yeah.
He's like a reluctant narrator.
Are you supposed to understand? Are you supposed to understand everybody in their entirety? Because there's a lot. Yeah, because there's so many things that we may not know about somebody and the way that they think.
What does Billy Joel say? You could never understand how the stranger is inspired, but he isn't always evil and he is not always wrong.
Yeah, and you can't truly ever judge another person because you can never know what's in their heart, and that's why the Catholic Church has never condemned anybody to hell, not even Judas Iscariot, because of the fact that God is the judge. God is the only one who could know everything about a person.
From my sense, from my perspective, I would agree with you. I'm not sure. Albert Camus probably would not.
Yeah, like I said, I want to keep reading him because I think that he might be misunderstood by a lot of his contemporaries and even by the intellectual world today. Yeah. So I want to go more into it because it's hard for me to believe that a man who could write this brilliant work was an atheist.
And my final thought, besides being hungry, is it is really pretty much. I'm actually going to agree with everyone. It should be read by anyone who has an interest in
I know it's
law,
part of the high
psychology.
school curriculum where
Oh,
I
good.
came from.
Good.
As it should be.
Yeah.
How would we
definitely
rate
worth
it?
reading.
0 to 5 stars, half stars permitted. Larry?
I'm going 5 stars. I liked it. Everything about it, it's not too long, which is also like really good. It's accessible.
123 pages from my copy.
But there's a lot you can get out of it. So I think everybody should read this work, and I recommend it fully.
Do I get to keep Dinky?
Actually, you can keep Dinky.
10 stars.
10 stars.
Okay, I'm giving it 5 stars.
I think I gave it like a 4.5 or a 4 last time. I'd stick with that. And I mean, it's just a really good insight into how different people function, different people think, and just in general to go through this guy's quote unquote, I would call it an adventure. He would just call it,
Stuff that happens.
But it's just an interesting read, and I would definitely recommend it.
Okay. I gave it 5 stars the first time I read it. I'm giving it 5 stars this time too.
Wow.
Because I just think that it just really is so thought-provoking, and there's so much that really you can develop as far as trying to read Marcel is concerned, but realizing that you're not supposed to read him, and getting a commentary of the world around you, thinking that they can read you and judge you, but really they can't. They can't really. They really can't delve into your inner thoughts, and their judgment is just thinking that they have greater assertion than they actually do.
Exactly. And it also goes to show just how crazy or different or how expansive everyone's inner thoughts are separately, and how they can change.
And
So is that 19.5 out of 20? That's pretty good, huh?
yeah.
Way to go, Albert.
Yeah. I would say though,
Yeah, Dinky.
I want to reread The Plague, but when I read it the first time, I just thought it was okay. And the same can be said about A Happy Death. and the fall. I do want to read his essays.
Yeah, I want to get more into this guy. He's pretty
Easy,
good.
Larry.
I like
Is this
way-
the first
it's
time
not
you
what
read
I-
it, Larry?
I'm kidding.
Yeah, The Stranger. Yeah, I never read it.
Yeah,
before.
you should
Mhm.
get into Camus' other works. I
Yeah.
know Josh has it.
I did read The Plague once, and I did like it. I want to read it again.
Okay.
I only have this novel.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Alrighty then. If you're interested in reading The Stranger, here is my copy.
Here's my copy, which is kind of messed up.
Where's your thing, Charlie?
I got my copy right here.
Okay.
It's Flurry.
My copy
Bye.
fell in the Dead
I don't
Sea,
have a laptop,
so it's got
so
a lot of
we-
salt on it. Yay.
Well, you don't take very good care of your books there, Charlie.
Yeah, I wouldn't want you to borrow mine.
I would be.
I wonder how you'd dog ear them. It'd be like Oregon.
I would never ever do that.
The
To be fair, this one was an accident.
if you're interested in purchasing a puffkin, they were the rivals of Beanie Babies.
Buy me, boy!
The only place I can find them is eBay.
Buy me, boy!
But maybe buy them for your nephew, your niece, your son, your daughter.
Yourself.
Your drum set?
Yeah, yourself too. I mean, I have a huge Beanie Baby collection that I don't want to give up.
I want to keep this.
I'm just
But-
surprised they don't have arms.
Be sure to join us next time on another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now,
Keep reading.
keep reading.